Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal, Part 2. Jeffrey Dahmer, a notorious serial killer who killed 17 young men and boys in 13 years between 1978 and 1991. Previously, we explored Dahmer's childhood, his early fascination with death and animal anatomy, his alcoholism, and his first murder, and the shocking details of his crimes. Stay tuned until the end as we unravel the mystery behind what drove this monster to commit such atrocities. This is a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, questioning your faith in humanity, and leaving you with a chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest horrors can lurk within the most unassuming of individuals. On December 25th, 1988, Jeffrey Dahmer moved into his own apartment in Milwaukee and wasted no time before attacking again. The very next day, he drugged and sexually assaulted a 13-year-old boy using benzodiazepines, a family of drugs similar to Valium. The boy managed to escape and went to the police, resulting in Dahmer's conviction for sexual assault in January 1989. However, Dahmer continued to prey on victims until his eventual arrest in July 1991. This case highlights the devastating consequences of unchecked criminal behavior and the importance of swift and effective intervention by law enforcement. After serving 10 months in prison, Jeffrey Dahmer resumed his gruesome activities upon release in 1990. He escalated his behavior, creating a shrine in his bedroom using the skulls and skeletons of his victims. His actions took on a bizarre and archaic quality, resembling an ancient human sacrificial temple. In 1990, Jeffrey Dahmer killed 4 more young men. He would lure them into his apartment with the promise of money and photography, then drug them and engage them in sexual acts while they were unconscious. He would then strangle them to death as they began to recover. Dahmer's fascination was not with murder, but with the dead bodies of his victims. He enjoyed necrophilia and sex with unconscious individuals. He would dismember the corpses, dissolve parts in acid vats, and cannibalize some of the organs he kept in his refrigerator. Jeffrey Dahmer's cannibalism was driven by his curiosity and desire to make his victims a part of him forever. He had a terror of being alone, which led him to kill his first victim when the victim wanted to leave. Dahmer's experiments with drilling holes in his victims' skulls and injecting them with acid to create zombie-like states were an amateur version of lobotomies that caused his victims to die. These actions were the stuff of horror movies and were shocking to the city of Milwaukee, known for its manufacturing of beer and strong family values. As we delve deeper into the blood-curdling story of the Milwaukee Cannibal, be prepared to discover the terrifying reality of how a seemingly ordinary man was able to carry out his gruesome crimes. In the height of his killing spree, in May 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer had already murdered 11 men and was collecting bones and organs for cannibalization. Despite this horrific activity, Dahmer was able to maintain a facade of normalcy with a job at a chocolate factory, blending into society like successful serial killers often do. Living in a predominantly African-American neighborhood, Dahmer kept to himself and targeted victims who were unlikely to be missed. His lack of repulsion towards mutilated bodies allowed him to function normally, and he was able to dispose of the bodies in a way that went undetected by the police. While families reported their missing sons, the police did not find any bodies and often assumed that the young men had just left town. On May 26, 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer almost faced capture after his encounter with a 14-year-old Conrick. Dahmer had offered the young Asian male money to go back to his apartment, where he drugged him and attempted a crude lobotomy by drilling a hole into his head. However, during the process, Dahmer left the apartment to buy more beer, giving Conrick a chance to escape while naked and dazed. Thankfully, a woman in another apartment building spotted the boy running up the alley and called the police. But when they arrived, Dahmer managed to reappear calm and sober, claiming that Conrick was his 19-year-old boyfriend who had too much to drink and ran out of the house. The officers bought the lie and even entered Dahmer's apartment, but failed to notice the decomposing corpse of one of his previous victims. Tragically, the officers left Conrick alone with Dahmer in the apartment, where he murdered the young boy in the early hours of the morning. It's a chilling reminder of how easy it is for psychopaths like Dahmer to blend in with society and continue their heinous crimes undetected. It's a tragedy that could have been prevented if only the police had taken their job more seriously and acted on their suspicions. The missed opportunity to apprehend Dahmer speaks volumes about the attitudes of the police towards certain groups in society. It allowed the killer to continue his heinous acts, which included not only sadistic pleasure from inflicting pain and suffering on his victims, but also disturbing interest in necrophilia. This gave him a continuous sense of power and control, as he acknowledged that nobody else possessed. It's a chilling reminder of how something so terrible can often go unnoticed and allowed to escalate, with tragic consequences for innocent victims. It's a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind closed doors, and the danger of turning a blind eye. In July 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer's killing spree had intensified, taking the lives of 4 men in just 14 days, bringing the total number of victims to 17. However, his gruesome deeds were finally uncovered when he met. Edwards was restrained with a handcuff, and upon seeing photographs of dismembered victims in the apartment, he escaped in his underwear and flagged down the police. The officers initially intended to assist Edwards with removing the handcuffs, but upon discovering the disturbing evidence in Dahmer's apartment, they promptly arrested him. The gruesome remains of Dahmer's victims were found, including body parts that shocked even the experienced police officers. The discovery confirmed that they were dealing with a heinous crime, and Dahmer knew his reign of terror was over. The aftermath of Dahmer's arrest was a media sensation, with horrifying details emerging about the atrocities committed in his apartment. The unimaginable stories that were reported turned out to be true, leaving many in shock and disbelief. The medical examiner who arrived at the scene was appalled by the discovery of the body parts stored in the freezer and had to call in a hazmat team for assistance. The gruesome and disturbing nature of the crime scene made a lasting impact on those who were there to witness it. Don't miss out on what was found inside Dahmer's apartment and his reaction to his arrest. Stay tuned for our next video to also learn about his fate in jail. This twist story will keep you on the edge of your seat.